Hello, my name is Torben Schöneberg and I'm Product Manager at Weidmüller. Together with my colleague Klaus Lois, we would like to introduce the connectivity for APL and SPE. We will give a general introduction to the technology and to the Weidmüller solutions. I will start with the topic APL and my colleague Klaus will continue with SPE. So let us first have a look at today's agenda. So we will start with what is Ethernet-APL. So we have a general introduction and get some technical informations. We will then look at the applications for APL to see what are typical applications, what are maybe the customer's challenges, what solutions and benefits do we have. We will then have a more detailed look into the portfolio and what is Weidmüller's offer for Ethernet-APL. Then we will also check what is the difference between Ethernet-APL and single pair Ethernet. And then my colleague Klaus will tell you a bit more about what is Weidmüller's offer for single pair Ethernet. Okay, let's start with the first point. What is Ethernet-APL? So Ethernet we already know, but what is now APL? APL stands for Advanced Physical Layer. And when we look at the OSI model here on the top right, we can see that we have the different levels, different layers, and different protocols. And there we see Ethernet-APL as an additional physical layer. And also when we check this whole infrastructure on bottom right, we can see that everything somehow is connected. So we have the Ethernet in the office, in the machine level, and really down to the sensors. So Ethernet-APL and also single pair Ethernet allows the connection from the sensor into the cloud. When we see the evolution of Ethernet, we can see that several different kind of standards and protocols were developed. Like we see here, CAN or Modbus, Interbus, Profibus, Profinet, EtherCAT, a lot of different protocols. But the problem is always that we have to convert somehow the signal into Ethernet. So this kind of conversion is no longer needed when we have a two-wire Ethernet, either Ethernet-APL or single pair Ethernet. So no more conversion is necessary. We can directly access the signal from the sensors. And there is actually a huge potential when we think of all these different kind of sensors. So let's look at this process automation pyramid. So we see the standard Ethernet on the enterprise level and on the different work centers. Then we see the industrial Ethernet on the different workstations and control devices. But then there are the field devices and sensors, where today there's a kind of Ethernet gap. And we can assume that there's a potential of 50 million ports or 50 million nodes per year. We know this high number based on these existing field bus systems. So now what is the difference between a field bus and Ethernet? So we can see, of course, both are a two-wire cable solution, but then there are certain differences, like communication speed. Whereas the field bus is working at 31 kilobit per second half duplex, the Ethernet 10BASE-T1L, which is Ethernet-APL, is working at 10 megabit per second full duplex, which is really, really fast. But also the cable length, we can reach up to 1000 meter with this still very high speed with Ethernet-APL. And a very important difference we see in the uniform networks. So a field bus system, we always need this kind of conversion from one signal to another. So it's not a uniform network, but for Ethernet, APL and SPE, it is. Let us now have a look into applications. Like what applications are there existing for Ethernet-APL? What are the typical challenges and the benefits for the customers using Ethernet-APL? So we can see these applications. So process industry, of course, is one of the focus applications, but also IoT device manufacturers, and theoretically also building automation might be a use case. But today this is mainly covered by SPE, so we will not focus on this here now. So checking the process industry and process automation. So the challenge is that there is a sensor far away, we have to bridge a large distance, and we need the information somehow from the sensor. Also, we want to integrate it into the network devices. So the solution here is Ethernet-APL. We can reach a direct Ethernet link just with the two wires. The benefit for the user is to get over this big distance, up to 1000 meters at a high speed of 10 Mbit per second. We can easily integrate the sensors into the Ethernet technology and into the networked system of the company. Also, by getting the information from the sensor in time, we have an increased plant availability and we can use the production data for further analysis. And what is also possible with the Ethernet-APL is the PODL, the power over data line. Over one data line, we can transmit power and data. Another use case is the IoT device manufacturers. So the challenge is here somehow to integrate these IoT devices into the network infrastructure. And here, of course, the solution is Ethernet-APL, which enables the direct connection within the consistent network infrastructure. The benefits for the user are clear, so he can create a uniform network that no gateways are needed anymore, so that he can really connect from the field into the corporate IT. He can reach high-speed data with Ethernet performance up to 10 megabit per second, and using different kind of PCB components also is a cost-effective solution. So in the next chapter, I would say, let's have a look into the Weidmüller offer for Ethernet-APL. And we can see it here on the picture, but I would suggest let's go to the table over there and I will demonstrate it more precisely to you. So for Ethernet-APL, we have different solutions from the field into the devices. So like we can see here, different field components like built-in plugs or field attachable connectors, which are A-coded and which fulfill the requirements of the process industry. Also, we have different kind of connectors for the PCB. So inside the devices, you can have different connectors, for example, with a screw connection, typical connector where we see we have the 3 poles, plus, minus, also marked red and green, and an optional shield connection. For this, we also have a shield connection clamp. Also, what is typically used are terminal blocks. So we have, for example, these kind of terminals with a screw connection. Again, we see a plus, minus, and the S for the shield, and we have the different outlet directions. The same is also available, like we see here in these colored versions with the push-in function. And what is also quite interesting is maybe this connector with the latest connection technology, snap-in. So we have this very broad portfolio of components for the field and for the device level. And at the same time, we are also working on a switch for Ethernet-APL. So when we summarize what we have here, we can see we have the connection really from the PCB into the field. All components are Ethernet-APL compliant, so they are tested and they fulfill the requirements of the process industry and the requirements regarding the return loss and insertion loss. We have for the PCB different soldering technologies like THT and THR soldering, and all components also supply the PODL, the power supply over the data line. Regarding the terminals, we have the push-in, snap-in, and the clamping yoke, or the tension spring connection. All components support the 10 megabit per second, and we can see they are really space and weight saving. Okay, now you have heard a lot about Ethernet-APL. So what is now really the difference between APL and single pair Ethernet? Isn't it the same somehow? And the answer is yes and no. So in the end, we can say Ethernet-APL is the single pair Ethernet for the process industry. So both is, of course, the two-wire technology. When we look about the Ethernet standards, then actually the Ethernet-APL is a dedicated definition of the 10BASE-T1L, so which adds some safety functions. Looking at the speed, we have some differences, because single pair Ethernet really ranges from 10 megabit up to 10 gigabit per second, always depending on the length. Whereas Ethernet-APL is just focusing on 10 megabit per second up to 1000 meter. So this is why we also have different main applications. While single pair Ethernet is mainly going into factory automation and building infrastructure, Ethernet-APL is specifically developed for the process industry. We have some special features for single pair Ethernet. So there is really the trend into miniaturization, industrial suitability, simplicity and also future-proof. While Ethernet APL is working with traditional components like classical terminals, but with certain safety standards. So in the next chapter, we would like to have a look more into single pair Ethernet. So what does Weidmüller's offer and what are the solutions which we can offer here?
Hello, and also a warm welcome from my side. My name is Klaus Leux and I'm Product Manager for Industrial Ethernet Passive Components. And I want to talk about a little bit about single pair Ethernet. But first of all, what is a single pair Ethernet? Probably almost all of you knows Ethernet as a standard fast Ethernet or gigabit Ethernet, wireless LAN, fiber optic Ethernet, and all these standards are defined in the IEEE 802.3 family. And single pair Ethernet is nothing else than another member of this Ethernet family. So we have additional standards which are also defined in this IEEE standard. Originally, single pair Ethernet comes from the automobile industry because it's used already since years in cars, inside cars. And that's the reason because we have these both standards which are allowed up to 15 meter or 40 meter. This is, to be honest, not really interesting for the industrial applications or industrial applications. And the one for the industrial application is an addition. The most used, I would say, is a 10 base T1L and the 10 base T1S. It's the same standard. You see the CG attention here. And this standard is the main interesting for the industrial use, because now we have an extension up to 1000 meter. So this is a big advantage against the standard which you know already right now. We have the limit of 100 meter for standard Ethernet, and if you want to go over the 100 meter, you need either fiber optic cabling or additional repeater switches inside the line, so outside the cabinet, and this is very difficult to realize, or it's means additional costs. You see in blue the already published standards. What is also interesting are new work items in the Ethernet working groups. We have here another standard 100 base T1, which will allow the speed 100 Mbit over 500 meter, which is for sure also interesting. And another one here, the last one, 10 base T1M, where you have more, it's multi-drop system where you can connect up to 16 nodes. But these are just new work items. These are in preparation. Let's have a look at the general advantages of SPE. For sure, we have the standard advantage of a two-wire system, so it is very easy because you just have 2 wires instead of 4 or 8 wires with standard Ethernet. So you have also the smaller bending radius because you have a smaller or little diameter of the cable, and also due to the 2 wires, a little weight, which is also interesting in some applications. Another point is that you have a very small mating phase or connector. So in comparison with the RJ45, you see here, our interface is much smaller, so you can realize very high port density. And another advantage is that we have an industrial contact system. With RJ45, you have just one contact. So you have the female contact and the plug inside, the plug which you connect inside, and you have one contact point. And this is in some hard or tough, rough applications a problem, because with hard vibrations you can have interrupts. And with our interface you have an industrial contact system with 2 contacts, and so vibrations are not a problem for this contact system. And I think my colleague already said it before, for sure you have the big advantage also that you now can realize Ethernet through the whole automation pyramid. So you can use Ethernet now with this new single pair Ethernet for sensors, actors, up to the cloud. So the whole automation pyramid is you can realize with Ethernet. And the big advantage is that you don't need any gateway, which you use today. Today you have in the control level and upper levels standard Ethernet and for the PLCs and ERP systems and so on. And below for the field level you have field buses like CAN, Interbus, Profibus DP, RS interface, IO link and so on. And each of these systems needs for first a gateway, and that means that you have another software, you have to configure these devices, and that is more difficult for sure for the installer and also for the maintenance. So they have 2 systems they have to maintain, and this is more effort than if you have just 1 system. And with single pair Ethernet in the field level, you have all nodes or all devices inside the network are communicate about IP communication, and that makes everything much easier. Okay, let's have a look at our single pair Ethernet portfolio. You see on the right side we have huge components, huge portfolio of for the cabling infrastructure. You see patch cables for the field in M8 patch cables. In IP67 we have IP20 patch cables. We have a field attachable connector in IP20, which makes it very easy to make your own specific cable. We have components like service interfaces, which you see here, or DIN rail outlet to make a modular, something like a modular patch panel on a DIN rail. We have for sure also components for the PCB in different versions, angled, straight, with LED, without, and so on. We have the panel feed through, so that you connect the infrastructure inside the cabinet to the field. So you come with a standard patch cable from one side and with a M8 from outside, and here is a cabinet wall. And we offer also switches, and for the switches I have an extra slide. You see 2 switches here, 10 Mbit or 10 base T1L switch, and another 100 M base T1 switch. The T1L switch is available very shortly, I think next month in April, but latest within second quarter of this year. We will have this one. We will have 4 SPE ports, every one including Poodle, and a fast Ethernet port for the uplink, and another model or variant with, you see here on the right side, with 7 single pair Ethernet ports, 2 gigabit ports for the uplink, and another additional SFP port. This will be available, released and available later this year. Okay, probably you say we have cabling, we have switches, but that's not enough for my application, because I need PLCs, I need sensors and so on. Or how can I use single pair Ethernet right now? And this is the reason why I show you this application. It's a real application because we are just working on this application in a tunnel project. And what is the usage here? We have 2 applications with standard Ethernet, one on this side and one in another place, far with a big distance in between. And our customer want to connect those, and he don't want to use fiber optic, and he also don't want to use switches within this line. And this is probably one possibility to use single per Ethernet today. So you just use our 10BASE-T1L switch inside the cabinet, and then you can connect with via up to 1000 meter single per Ethernet cable the two cabinets, and switch again to standard Ethernet with a second switch inside the right cabinet, and you have the link via Ethernet without any limits or borders or whatever. You can talk directly IP communication between these two cabinets without fiber optic, without additional repeaters or switches within the line. So I think it's a very good option to use single per Ethernet right now and to make first experience with single per Ethernet components. For sure, more and more devices will come this year. You will see on the next Hanover Fair on the SPE System Alliance booth many new products, also PLC and sensors, actors and so on. If you have the chance to join the Hanover Fair, go to Hanover and have a look what we can show there. Okay, that's what I wanted to show you about single per Ethernet, just a short overview. What you take with you is Ethernet-APL is already available for the process industry, and we now have the possibility to talk Ethernet of the whole pyramid of the APL or process pyramid or the automation pyramid. We have a wide range of products, active and passive components for single per Ethernet, and also a wide range of Ethernet-APL components, and that is the message we want to give you today. If you have further questions, you can contact my colleague Torben for APL. Contact data is inside, as you see in the presentation, and for SPE, you can contact me. And yes, that's it for today. Thank you very much, and see you in the Q&A session. Thank you.